years ago, hundreds of forest elephants left the forest in large numbers and were spotted along the Lagos-Benin Expressway, bringing vehicular movement to a standstill, simply because they were losing their habitat to farmers and loggers. This, among issues, will be our focus in this week's edition of Green Angle. Welcome. I am Esther Omopariola. We start off with concerns about the encroachment of wetlands. Some conservationists are appealing to authorities to adopt a sustainable way of protecting mangroves and wetlands because any attempt to destroy or encroach on its space will affect livelihoods, ecosystems, and biodiversity. Lagos is a low-lying coastal city endowed with a number of lagoons and wetlands. The wetlands, which are predominantly swamps and mangroves, act as flood control, a water purifier, nature's carbon sink, and serve as a home to endangered plants and wildlife. But growing land demands for developmental purposes is threatening this vibrant ecosystem. Esther Omopariola, a conservation biologist, noticed a situation where some vegetation on the wetland area in Igomu, which also houses the National Arts Theatre, has been destroyed, and that some pipes are now laid across the area to fill it for some construction to take place. She is worried that this will not only threaten the lives and livelihoods of many who depend on wetlands for survival, but will gradually see rare species lose their natural habitat.
So my concern is we are losing a green space which is, has value for us. That's one. And the second concern is we need to, when we are talking about our culture and arts, we cannot remove the environment from that, right? So it's really not separate. So if we say we want to have a cultural and entertainment center, that's great. But human beings can live in harmony with nature.
In the meantime, state authorities were asked to adopt a sustainable approach to preserve nature rather than destroy it.
The Conservation and Ecology Department of the Ministry gives permit for wetland usage, but we propose and we always promote wise use of the wetlands.
When we talk about the value of wetlands, you cannot take out human well-being from the value of wetland. In fact, at the core of the value of wetlands is the well-being of humans.
When we destroy our wetlands, it eventually affects us health-wise and in so many other ways. So it's important that we educate ourselves, be more aware of why this is there, why it was created in the first place, and then do better in conserving it.
In all of this, the value wetlands give to the environment is unquantifiable, which can't be ignored. And in preserving this vibrant ecosystem, it starts with learning to coexist with nature. It is no longer news that Lagos generates nearly 15,000 tons of waste daily and has the highest volume of plastic waste in the country. Although the state government is adopting several initiatives to reduce the amount of plastic that goes to the landfills, a plastic waste collector believes the implementation of the draft plastic waste policy will address this environmental challenge. Philip Obuese is a trained lawyer, but now he is an environment enthusiast who is also known in his local community in Lagos State for picking and sorting plastic waste. His passion for the environment, he tells me, started 3 years ago, and he hasn't looked back since then. His sole objective is to help reduce waste in the city, while sensitizing the public on the environment implications of plastic waste.
Yes, during my time in the university studying law, I incidentally did environmental law as an elective. In addition, I did petroleum law as an elective. And when I did petroleum law, I saw what magnitude of challenges, especially those that live in oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta, the environmental pollutions. I saw firsthand what oil exploration in the Niger Delta can do to our communities. Beyond that, when I did environmental law, I started reading about all the numerous challenges, global interventions to address the issue of environmental pollutions. So I became interested in the issues of protecting the environment. I became interested in helping our people. Let me tell you one thing. I read so much about the effort of communities in the Niger Deltas to address the issues of environmental pollution. But some of them could not because they lack necessary experience. They lack necessary information and resources to combat the issues. I thought I became interested in that. I thought that if I pick interest in this, I'll be able to help my community better. I'll be able to help address this global challenge that is now local. The SWEEP Foundation is born out of a personal desire to see a challenge being addressed. I noticed the challenge, I noticed the gap in our communities, and I thought that that gap should be addressed. And that gap is the absence of information, education, and resources on waste and environmental management. I think beyond the idea of going to schools is the fact to help people to change their lifestyles, to teach behavioral change. I heard of someone one of my managers here, who on the road saw someone throw off pet bottles, food drinks, bottled food drinks off the car. And the person looked obviously educated and enlightened. Yes, the person might be educated, but the person is environmentally an illiterate. So what we do is to carry out community-wide sensitization. We create awareness. We carry out sanitation programs during which we now expound or teach people or tell people how they can live sustainably.
For a growing megacity producing about 2,250 tons of plastic waste daily, the task, Philip says, can be challenging. Some PET bottles, he tells me, fetch a good price in the recycling business, while others don't, but only adds to the growing waste management challenge in the metropolis.
We carry out sanitation activities. Loma brings their trucks and we gather our volunteers and we help to sanitize our communities. Then beyond that, we also do plastic pickup campaigns. We do that monthly. The essence is we have noticed from study, from research, from our analysis of the situation, that a large percentage of the flooding we see are occasioned by plastics and other recyclable waste in the gutters, in the canals. So if plastics in our drainages are the causes, or the immediate and even the remote causes of blockage in our drainages, then we took it upon ourselves to start extracting them, recovering them, and collecting them. But after some time, having collected and been in the business of collecting and extracting them from the gutters, it turned out, what do we do with them? What do we do with them? It's not food that we start to eat. We have to do something with them. We start gathering them together, and it became necessary to procure somewhere where we pack them. Initially, when we started, in a month we were able to gather maybe 360 kg, 300 kg of plastics. But when we started gathering more, the need arose for us to get somewhere to put them. And that is the reason why we were able to secure where we are now, which is a hub, which is a collection facility of a SWEEP Foundation. When we collect them, we bring them here. And we have this workforce made up of women, widowed women, young women, elderly women, and other young people, both male and female, who work in different departments. Those who sort them, they remove the caps, remove the labels, and separate them according to their colors. Yes, so those women do that. Then when they are done with that, because we don't have so much space, we have to compress them, we have to build them. That compression will help to reduce their size. So when we have like 3, 4, 5 tons, 3, 4, 5 tons will fill up a space. But when we use a baler to build them and compress them, then you find out that a space that ordinarily will take just 3 tons, when they are built, they can take up to 10 tons of plastics. So we take them to another department that builds them, compresses them, and reduces their size for compatibility. Now, when that is done, there are off-takers. There are people who off-take from us, who either pelletize them, crush them, and help turn them into other materials. That is what is called recycling. We do not do recycling, technically speaking. We only collect, sort, bale, and dispatch them to the off-takers, the processors. The processors now help to turn them into some recycled materials.
Philip believes an enabling law to fully address this concern in this city of more than 20 million will make all the difference.
Today, in today's market, a ton of this baled, compressed, a ton of this goes in the market for about 220 naira to 240 naira per kg. Per kg of this goes for about 220 naira. Now, this is blue. So most recyclers will ask you, I want white and blue, because they are the easiest to recycle. So both of them carries the same worth in the market, in the recycling market. But there is also plastic PET bottles that are greenish in color. Well, these have some little difficulties in recycling because they are dyed, and they are dyed green. So in the market, they are worth about 17 naira per kg. Remember, I told you that white and blue is worth about 220 naira per kg. This is worth about approximately, give or take, 70, 80 naira per kg. That is those that are green in the market. Then there is another color, the browns. In the market presently, you can get this at 50 naira per kg, those that are brown in color. I do not want to deal with this, because when you have so many or so much of this, it occupies space and is not really worth that much. The effort in gathering them, the effort in sorting them, and the effort in baling them really does not really come to anything substantial, economically speaking, but it is still there. But despite its worth, it is still far better than a PET bottle like this that is amber in color. The brown color is still a lot better than the amber in color. The amber does not really come to any worth. It is useless to me as somebody in this space. It occupies space. It is not worth anything. Collecting it, removing the cap and delabeling it is just a waste of time and resources. When we collect them because we are a social enterprise. We are trying to help the community. We are trying to decongest the canals and the gutters. But for us, it does not bring in any economic value. So we encourage the manufacturers, those who deal in plastic packaging, to find a way to turn their bottles into white or blue. It is even easier. This one is even costing more to produce because these ones are not dyed. This one is dyed. It costs more to produce this. This one come the way they are. So why I really do not understand why the companies dye their bottle. I think it's for brand purposes. But what is brand purposes when compared to the environment, the impact, the negative impact on the environment? To address some of these challenges that we have noticed, I am aware that the Ministry of Environment, especially here in Lagos State, has a draft plastic waste policy. What is the plastic waste policy doing in your offices? What is the plastic waste policy doing in the State House of Assembly? Let them come up with it so that we can begin to address in tangible and measurable terms these challenges, we can curtail the excesses of the manufacturers and the packagers if the draft plastic policy is put into law to enable us to begin to question the manufacturers of products in packages like this that are not recyclable.
Green Angle returns after this break. Stay with us.
Illegal bushmeat is on sale in our cities, risking extinction and our health. We've become a centre for ivory and pangolin smuggling. So please report wildlife crime and say no to illegal bushmeat. And let's work together to win for Nigeria. Keep them wild, keep us safe.
Elephants play a vital role in the ecosystem, spreading essential soil nutrients at a continental scale, helping to disperse seeds and creating spaces for plant species to grow. In this documentary series produced with WildAid, we took a trip to Omo Forest in Ogun State to catch a glimpse of some of Nigeria's forest elephants. In 2018, a herd of elephants left their habitat in Omo Forest, a tropical rainforest in southwest Nigeria, for Itashin, a border community close to Lagos State. The elusive forest elephants migrated from their stronghold after increased farming and hunting activities. The elephants, numbering about 24, were spotted on a major highway. But why did the elephants migrate from the forests? What pushed them out of their natural habitat?
Any activity that associated with deforestation, hunting, any illegal activity around the conservation zone undermine conservation efforts. In the year 2018, we have one of the major issues on the ground where we have encroachments into the core of this elephant habitats, so which force some of the groups out.
We are inside Omo Forest, home to Nigeria's critically endangered forest elephant. As you can see, I'm in the stronghold of the forest elephants, and I'm close to one of its footprints, which is about 60 centimeters wide. It's not even up to the size of my feet right here, but if I take it in, you get to see just how the width of the elephant's feet.
Omo forest elephants are an elusive cousin of the savanna elephants found in Yankari Games Reserve in Bauchi State. This gentle creature plays a major role in the forest, which benefits the environment. They strip trees of their bark, dig for roots in the soil, chew on leaves, munch on tree branches. But these seemingly destructive activities help preserve the forests and store more carbon in their trees. When they move through the forest and feed on trees for food, they reduce the density of smaller trees and plants, causing an increase in the number of larger trees in the forest, which leads to more carbon being stored in the forest. A 2019 study found that elephants' destructive activities help boost the overall amount of carbon stored in the Central African rainforest.
Elephants and forests provide a huge, very important service that we all need to fight climate change. They're gardener of the forest because they can plant trees, they plant the new generation of trees. And the interesting thing about carbon is that many of the seeds that are very large, that are only dispersed by elephants, they come from very large trees that hold a lot of carbon. So they contribute to carbon by dispersing seeds, but in particular the seeds of these very large trees.
But despite their contribution to the environment, forest elephants are also threatened by illegal poaching. In the last 10 years,
its population declined because they are continually being hunted for their tasks to supply a bustling ivory trade market in Asia, and Nigeria has become the transit hub for ivory trade over the last decade. Last January, the Nigeria Customs intercepted a 20-feet container that included more than 2,000 pieces of elephant tusks, weighing about 4,752 kilograms, worth 22 billion naira. And in July, the Nigeria Customs also intercepted 870 kilograms of ivory. The African forest elephant was recently listed as critically endangered by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, meaning their population is on the verge of being wiped out. Lagos State has a booming ivory trade and contributes to the declining number of elephants in the forests. A 2018 snapshot survey of the illegal ivory market in Lagos revealed about 94 outlets, including popular hotels that engage in the illegal sales of ivory.
The population of elephants in Nigeria is on the verge of extinction. So we need to do and to educate people. We need to be educated. We need to be listening for public awareness. We need to know the danger that is inherent in the exploitation of ivory, either in processing it, or either in using it, or either if you are the one even exploiting it. We have a group of people that currently they operate like a kind of a racket, or like a group that usually exploiting this material. Some of them need to be the full weight of the law needs to be used against them. Some of them need to be arrested. Some of them need to face some kind of punishment. And I think this one is going to create a kind of a deterrent. It's going to prevent them from further exploitation. But more than that, I think the large majority of people in Lagos State needs to be educated on the danger that is in the exploitation of wildlife resources.
Efforts to protect Nigeria's last forest elephants have been sustained by rangers employed and managed by the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. Every morning, dozens of rangers led by Emmanuel and Titus, the chief ranger, travel miles on motorbikes to patrol the forests. Part of what they do is to ward off hunters and farmers encroaching into what remains one of Nigeria's most important rainforests.
What we do is that we try to do monitoring to see what is happening around. Then when we notice a case of habitat fragmentation, like people are trying to clear up new area for farming, we try to identify the nearby villages and we go there and warn them that they should not try carry on any farming activity around there. So when we have the person, that we are sure that is the one that actually trying to open up that area for farming. So we take him to the Ministry of Forestry for prosecution.
I've started to protect elephants in about 30 years ago now. 4 years ago, I joined Ranger. That's because of the something happened in the forest, destroying the forest, farmers and the loggers.
Even some repentant hunters now use their skills to protect the forest elephants.
Conservation is for the people. Part of what we have done is to take some of these community people to support our work. So, and we try to get the hunters, the repentant hunters, the people we know that they are the ones that are actually carrying out the hunting of this animal. They kill antelopes, pangolins. all these things. So we try to identify them and bring them on board so that they will be our eco-warrior to defend the species that they have been hunted.
While the rangers intensify efforts to protect these animals from potential threats, they are also addressing human-elephant conflicts. Early this year, some forest elephants that migrated to Itashin destroyed farmland and injured a farmer.
So we've been trying to address the issue of encroachment at various levels. On ground here, we try to carry out some education awareness to orientate people that government has a reason for designating this place as a conservation zone, and we try to highlight some of these reasons, particularly how important to conserve the forest elephant that we have in that area.
Protecting these forest elephants is no mean feat, knowing the value they add to the environment. Perhaps it will take much more than a few rangers in protecting what is left in one of Nigeria's largest forests and the government doing all it can in enforcing the state's environmental protection laws. And that's about it on this week's edition of Green Angle. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Omopariola. Bye for now.